Hey guys, it's Marmecharms. I have been thinking about doing my own It Gets Better video for a while. And today I decided to do it just because today I saw a lot of sadness on my timeline on Twitter of a lot of different people, talking about killing themselves or talking about, how their life is so depressing and what's the point of life and blah blah blah. And so I'm gonna share my story because I've been there before. It's pretty personal for me to do this, so I hope that you guys appreciate it and, maybe it'll relate to you, or, maybe it'll make you feel better, because it does get better. So, okay, here's my story and then we'll go from there. I grew up in Detroit, in a not very good neighborhood. I was about 4 and I was taken away from my mom. I never knew my real dad, and till this day I've never met him. I was put into a foster care for a while, and then I went to live with my grandma. And when I was about 9, I was in science class and I got called down to the office, and I thought I was in trouble because I was never called down to the office. I was pretty good in school, so and my social worker was there, and she took me away, me and my nephew at the time. He was about 4, and she took us away and she put us into foster care again. I moved about 3 or 4 times when I was 9, and it was hard because I kept having to be the new girl. Thankfully, I got adopted and I moved into the country, and the new school that I went to, they didn't like me either. They picked on me, and I was a very sensitive kid, so I cried all the time, and it really, really was upsetting to me that, they didn't like me, because, when you're young, you want everyone to like you. I had a really hard time being adoptive. I was a brat. I told my parents all the time, or my parents now, my adoptive parents, I told them all the time that, I never wanted this and I didn't want them to be my parents, and, it's really hard to be taken away from your real family, like your biological family, and then to be placed into a different home. And when I was about in 8th grade, was the first time that I tried to kill myself. I felt life wasn't fair, and I felt God wasn't fair for taking me away from my family that loved me and putting me somewhere else where I didn't want to be. And so I cut myself on my wrists. I stopped before I, cut too deep, and I just felt good to release the pain, and I just kind of let it be that, and I hid it, and I wore hoodies, and I just, hid it from everybody, except for, I think, my best friend at the time was the only person who knew what was going on. So high school came and things got better. I enrolled into our choir, our top choir I tried out for, and I got accepted, and I did solos and musicals, and I met my boyfriend at 16. He was the love of my life, and I, started accepting my adoptive family, and, I realized that, God put me here for a reason and stuff like that. So things were getting better, and then I graduated. And some of you have graduated and you know what that feels like, and some of you don't, but I went to college because that was the thing that you did. That's what you do. You graduate high school, and then summer, and then you go to college. I still wanted to be a singer. I have since I was younger. So, but I felt like I had to go to college to get, a real world job, because I felt like everyone was trying to make it big, and, only some people make it. And things were going good until about my second year, when I was about 19 years old. I was still with my boyfriend from 16 to 19, and he was going a different path, and he started doing drugs. And that upset me a lot because he stopped spending so much time with me, and he started spending more time with his friends that were doing drugs, and he was partying, and I wasn't a partier. So it really got me down because I felt like the person that I felt understood me the most, and I loved him so much. It depresses you when that person that you love so much doesn't want to hang out with you or spend as much time with you. So it started making me feel worthless, and I would get really upset, and I would lay in bed and I would cry and cry and cry. And that's when my whole life started spiraling down again. I had a great job that I stopped going to, and I would just call in sick all the time, even though I wasn't. I stopped going to school. I eventually dropped out of all my classes, and I actually got suspended from my work for a little bit because they didn't want to get rid of me, but they knew that something was wrong, so they gave me time to just cope with whatever I was coping with. Things were still getting worse for me with my boyfriend, and I would start flipping out, and I would just throw tantrums, and I was just upset because, I made this person my world, and I, loved him more than I even loved myself at the time. And that's where, that's dangerous waters right there, is where you make a person your whole life and they're everything, and, your whole future revolves around them. And that's where it got, messy. One day I went over to his apartments and I got into a big fight with him, and I decided that at that moment in my life, at the age of 19, life wasn't worth living anymore, because I felt worthless, I felt unloved, and I felt like drugs were taking my place, and I ran into the street hoping that someone would hit me. No one did, obviously, because I'm here, but it concerned everybody, and I just decided that, something's obviously not right. I need help, because at that moment, I was ready to go at 19. You shouldn't, you have your whole life to live, and just one moment, you just want to give it all away because of how you're feeling at the time. So I checked myself into hospital, and I stayed there for a weekend, and I came out with a diagnosis of bipolar. And what that is, it's a mental disorder where your moods change all the time and you have manic highs and manic lows. And I was going through that a lot at the time because I would cry in bed, for half the day, and then the other half of the day I would want to be with people, and I would want to surround myself with that happiness. But at the same time, there would be that next mood that would just be like, I don't want to be around anybody because nobody loves me. So it was hard to hear that because I felt crazy. Like, wow, I'm crazy. No one's going to want to hang out with me, I'm going to have to take medicine for the rest of my life. I'm going to have to see a therapist. And I just felt so abnormal because I was like, normal 19-year-olds don't have to take medicine. They don't have to see a therapist. They can probably live their life just fine. Why me? Why me? Why me? I was always asking, like, why me? So I got out of that relationship. He actually broke up with me, and at the time, I could say that that was the worst feeling I ever felt. But now I thank God every day that he did let me go, because it made me realize that life gets better. It took a long time to level out my moods and to accept the fact that, I wasn't crazy. It's a common mental disorder, actually. A lot of people have it. There's different severities of it. So school was still making me feel not worth it. Like, I was like, wow, I'm still stupid. I'm so stupid. Why can't I get this? I got it before. Why can't I get it now, I took one vocal class, And because I felt so worthless at the time, I dropped out because I felt like everybody is better than me in this class. Why am I in this class? You know, I suck. Why am I even trying to be a singer? And that was hard, you know, because that was something that I always wanted to do. I was getting depressed. And this January, actually, of 2010, I had insomnia pretty bad for a while. And I went on YouTube and I was watching, you know, the Mean Kitty. Like, I was really into that at the time. And I saw this video titled Crazy Sex Positions, and I was like, what? You know, they can put that on YouTube. And I clicked on it, and it was Shane Dawson. And I never laughed so much in my life. And I didn't know anything about YouTube. Like, I didn't know, like, that people were, you know, doing comedy on YouTube and that there were channels and there were subscribers and all this crap. I had no idea what any of that was.